Well, hey, it's Jim Craddock, and I expect this might be my last video. I'm not sure, obviously, but I've got suspicions. Uh, if not, there definitely won't be many more. Uh, it's been an interesting 27 plus year experiment that I have engaged in, who I guess nobody still believes me. Uh, at least no doctors. It's just ridiculous that the science has been redacted. But where I'm at today is, my bowels are coming to a stop, and that sounds weird. You say, "Oh, why would your bowels come to a stop?" And it's so complex to explain it. That this thing, you can imagine, if something takes 27 years to do things across your body, that it does a lot over that time. And then, over the last 2 years, kind of it's gone through all those again, kind of in reverse. And it's just so difficult to explain. But basically, it's basically an electrolyte imbalance issue that uh, and that combined with candidiasis has basically made all the cells in my body apoptotic, and I mean it's so difficult to explain, but through the course of this illness, your electrolyte balance changes so much in your interstitial areas, and it causes so much to go on. And meanwhile, you have this infection that's at the cellular level, and it's kept out of your bloodstream, so it never shows up anywhere. And your body has its reactions turned off, so you don't have any like visible reaction. And meanwhile, it does other things like causes your bacterial response to raise, so that where you would normally expect somebody to have a raging bacterial infection, they don't. And I mean, there's just so much going on, and you're not going to believe me. No one has believed me, but I think the proof's in the pudding, right? So uh, anyway, 2 years ago when the final transition started and the inferior vena cava constriction went away, the back pressure that was in the lower half of my body stopped. And so that allowed all the electrolytes that had been forced into fluids into that part of my body to, rapidly escape. So that was polyuria with dark urine, everything. But if you think about it, then you've got just a completely different situation than your body has maintained for over 2 decades. So you can imagine that it doesn't end there. And so, it continues, it reduces your volume, which causes other problems. And very quickly, you have an initial bowel stoppage in that first month. And then what happens is basically just a slight layer, so a portion of your colon, like down at your cecum, lets fluid through, but not, it doesn't have a complete hole in it. Does that make sense? So basically it reaches a point where the electrolyte imbalance combined with everything else is so much that the water is able to force its way through. And so this kind of restarts everything, and then it leads to like a whole 2 year long thing of all this other stuff going on in a way that no one would ever have. Okay. And then you get to the point where I got to 2 weeks ago, not a week and a half ago, where you get to the point where the everything has basically, once again, it's another electrolyte issue. And so you're back to having basically and this, so everything almost stopped. So I take some, something to help it start moving, which basically is like antifreeze type, based, and that pulls water into your colon. Well, so it pulled enough that the imbalance got too high, and then so that caused a complete pull through. So now you have actually a full hole. And so over the last week and a half, initially it was, uh, rapid valves, let's just put it that way. And, other complications from that. And then quickly moving on to everything slowing down again. And so from the pictures that they had at the time, like when this happens, so there was pictures in the articles of this, like where they had shown. So it takes about 2 weeks and your whole colon gets twisted up really tight. And then over the next 2 weeks, it completely relaxes. So, and that's if everything goes optimally. I guess there would be ways to increase the speeds of things. I don't know. But so I should be at the point where everything is the most kind of, I'm a day or so away from the part when it's the tightest. So maybe I've got a couple weeks. I don't know. I really don't. But I know that, in the end, you end up with the bowel stop. And then there are a couple options here. One, you can go to the hospital, at which point, they'll do imaging, and they're going to complicate things by using contrast, and they're going to see, okay, yeah, that you've got this serious situation here, and they're going to want to operate, and so the operation would kill me. So that's not a great option, although, I mean, would be a easy way to exit, I guess. And your other option is just to tough it out. And so what happens there is, as you continue eating, food piles up and basically uh, uh, at some point rots into your aorta and you just die like that. I don't know, I don't like the first option because I don't want to be in a hospital arguing with doctors who don't understand what I have. That's my number one thing. I mean, they're not going to understand what I have. I'm going to be arguing with them. I know what I have. They've never heard of it. They're not going to believe me. But this is just not going to be a good interaction. There's no way that turns out well. Okay, just no way. It doesn't matter. I could get the smartest doctor in the world in there. He has a lack of information, won't believe me, and even if he did believe me, there's nothing he could do. So now I'm in a hospital. There's nothing they can do. That's not where I want to be. So, the other option is to tough it out and just, keep on with life, keep eating. And, this is definitely when they ate just protein, because if they ate anything else, it would, feed the candidiasis, cause everything to kind of cling together. Luckily, I have fluconazole, so maybe that's helping some. But when you've been taking it for 2 years, you got to figure you got some type of resistance going on there. So maybe not so much. But anyway, I've just decided on Plan B, and that's see the experiment through, and you know. I really, I don't have any good choices. This is not a situation where, hey, there's this great plan and we can do that plan and that's the best plan. So when you think about Plan B, what are the difficulties? The difficulties are you really can't tell anyone that that's where you're at. Like you're in that. If you tell people, everything's going to change. Like either they're not going to believe you, they're going to be upset, or you know. Yeah, anyway, it's not ideal, and I've given everybody plenty of warning, from work to family to everything. So I don't feel obligated to say, hey, it's pretty dire at this moment. Uh, so I'm just pushing through. And, you know, I don't know what else to do. Anyway, I have finished my taxes. Got to see, so these are things I've done in the last 2 weeks since that, thing occurred. So, what if I had gone to the hospital then? Well, I wouldn't have got to do my taxes. I wouldn't have got to see my son as a lead in Clue at the high school. I wouldn't have got to spend more time with my family, read, enjoy my dogs, spray pre-emergent on the front and backyard. Now I am overcommitting right there. I have not done the backyard yet. That's slated for tomorrow, but cleaned out the garden, just tried to do some things, live life, and going to the hospital would have been the end of any of that. So, and if I tell anybody, either they're not going to believe me, or they're going to be upset, or they're not going to believe me and they're going to be upset. I got injections in my shoulder, this shoulder, my right, my left shoulder, this is my left shoulder, this week, and it did help with the putting pressure on that. And I will say the right side had already largely helped itself, so it doesn't hurt nearly so much. So this is a thing where, hey, it goes in there, does its damage, and it moves on. One thing the article did say was that, at the end of all this, when the candidiasis has literally used up every cell in the body, it's done and it's gone. Like, it's no longer in the body, because it's done all the damage it can do. It's turned every cell it can apoptotic. It just exists. So that's interesting. I don't, I don't know. So anyway, I've got to do some things over the last couple weeks, and I'm super glad I've got to do them. Work is actually really needing me right now, and I've tried to do as much as I can, which sounds silly. But my job is such that I support literally thousands of Medicaid patients with the work that I do. And I'm really the primary guy for a lot of this work that's coming forward. And there's going to be like 50,000 people, coming in through a third-party payer into the system that I helped build. And, we've got to get their data in. So I've been trying to get as much of that kind of architected as again. I'm not going to get to finish it. But honestly, I didn't think I was going to get to finish building the system itself. When all this started 2 years ago. So I got to see that through at least. And I don't know. I'm content. Okay. So hey, tell people my story. Jim Craddock. Go to my website. Thanks.